tips. As we move to the no calculator section, I know I've said it a lot throughout this course, but it's even more important now that we really need to be careful about what exactly the question is asking. So if I just jump ahead a couple, it's not asking for X or Z or Y. It's asking for you to take it another step once you have those things. So don't let them trick you if you do the math correctly. Now, also, especially for no calculator math, one thing you may want to really study is the relationship between a slope and a y-intercept. So being able to manipulate this equation is going to be very important for us. And again, my favorite strategy is to plug in numbers. Depending on the problem, you may want to just take the answers and plug them in, or take numbers like 2 and 3 and plug that in and see which answer you get. It's going to help you save a lot of time, which is important for any section of the SAT. So here we have line L is translated up 5 units and to the right 7 units. Then what is the slope of the new line? Well, if we're translating something, all that means is that we would be taking, if we're translating up and to the right, this line is shifting. So we are doing nothing to the slope of the line. All right, we're not rotating it, we're not reflecting it. So we're just translating it, we're moving. And that also reminds me, you may want to brush up on old terms, and it's also helpful to memorize some of the equations at the beginning of the reference sheet that the SAT gives you. But since we are just translating it, we're not changing the slope of the line. So if we see a question like this, we should be able to do this relatively quickly. Now, right away, I know that this is a negative slope, right? As the x-axis goes up, the y is going down. So automatically, I can eliminate choice A. Now, if I remember slope, change in y over change in x, I could pick 2 points on this graph, but for the sake of time, I'm just going to use rise over run. And if I start, let me use red. If I start on this point, if I go down 1, 2, 3, and then my run 1, 2, I'm going down 3 and over 2, thus making my answer choice B. Second example, we have the average number of students per classroom, Y, at Central High School. Can be estimated using the equation Y equals 0.8636x plus 27.227, where x represents the number of years since 2004 and x is less than or equal to 10. Which of the following is the best interpretation of the number 0.8636 in the context of this problem? Now, if it were asking about y or anything related to the 27, then we could talk about the estimation, because it tells us right away that y is what the estimation is. So right away, I'm going to eliminate A and B. And now I'm just focused on this 0.8636, and that's attached to the x. So that it's important to recognize is the slope. Now, just like this previous example, where this line was negative, we knew it had a negative slope. But this 0.8636 is positive, so right away I know that it is going to increase. So I can eliminate choice C, right, because it's not going to decrease, thus making choice D the correct answer. Okay, so if 2 over A minus 1 equals 4 over y, y is not equal to 0, A is not equal to 1. What is y in terms of A? Let me rewrite it so I have a little room to work. Now, y in terms of A, basically we're just looking for what y is equivalent to. We would have to do this a little differently if we were given the fact that if there was a third variable in here, like let's say b was up here, then we'd have to analyze it differently, because if we want it in terms of a, we would have to find a way to eliminate that b. So right away, I want to be very comfortable being able to cross multiply. So I like to physically draw it so I really know what two things I am multiplying together. So I have this 2 times y equals 4a minus 1. So we have 2y, distribute this 4a minus 4, and now get y by itself, we'll divide by 2. We get y equals 2a minus 2. Thus making choice A the correct answer. So cross multiplying, very important skill to be able to do very quickly, to help us save a little time. In this video, I said that I looked quickly, and I said 2y plus z. I assume we were going to be solving for one of these two things, and then getting the variable, and then plugging it in here, which is actually not the case now that I'm reading the problem. So again, just a good example. Don't assume you have to do anything until you read the problem. But that tip that I gave earlier still is relevant, because it's still very important to really read what the question is asking. So here we have an expression of y and an expression of z. Both are in terms of x. Now, what we want is we want 2y plus z in terms of x, which isn't a big deal because in these equations there's only the variable x. So now all we have to do is plug in, substitute, basically plugging in these polynomials into this expression, and then we're going to simplify by combining like terms. So 2 parentheses, now I plug in for y, x to the third plus 2x plus 5. And then there are no negatives here, but if there were a negative and we were going to be flipping any signs, just be careful about making sure we're distributing carefully. So plus z, which is x squared plus 7x plus 1. I can put that all in parentheses if I want. So now distribute this 2, so I get 2x to the third plus 4x plus 10 plus x squared plus 7x plus 1. Now I like to take, so this is the only x to the third term, but I can combine 4x and 7x, those are like terms, and then I can also combine this 10 and this 1. So when I write this out, you get 2x to the third plus 4 plus 7, and don't forget about this x squared, plus x squared, 4 plus 7 plus 11x, 10 plus 1 plus 11, and see if this matches with any. Choice C, 2x to the third plus x squared plus 11x plus 11. And we're good.